In this video, I want to show you one of my favorite ways for selecting leashes to remove them out of photos. If your hand's a little shaky and circling it with the lasso tool just doesn't work as well as you would like it to. But first, if you want to see what I did to this image prior to getting to this point, which was merging two images together, one in which we had the dog on the left in focus and another in which we had the two dogs on the right in focus, we merged it in like 30 seconds. Well, that video is right over here. But in this video, we're going to remove these leashes. And like I said, we are going to use the Polygonal Lasso tool. I think I said that right. If you want to keep learning more about pet photography, from the craft to the business of pet photography, go ahead and hit subscribe so that you are notified of some of our future videos. And you can also check out www.hairofthedogacademy.com for additional resources. All right, let's get into it. Okay, so here we are with this image. We have various ways that we can remove leashes. One way that usually works pretty well is using our spot healing brush or our spot healing brush tool right here, which then we can just go ahead and kind of select our leash and kind of draw it on, and it does an okay job. You can see it likes to leave this line, especially I found when this is a bokeh-licious background like this, when you have all this beautiful soft background, spot healing tool really doesn't work all that great. So one of the other ways that works well is just selecting it and doing a content-aware fill. But then you have to like go in with this lasso tool, and then it's like big and clunky and not always the best at drawing and getting that done. But let's see what that does. Let's go to image. We'll go to edit, content aware fill right here, or you can do Shift F5 for a shortcut to that. And you can see it's done a much better job. Command D to get rid of that. There's still a little bit of a line we might want to clean up, which for this kind of background, I will usually clean this up with a little bit of a clone stamp. Now, we're going to make sure we're on a new layer to do this, because when I use my clone stamp, it can get a little bit messy. And quite frankly, we probably should have started on a second layer anyway, because here's the thing. I've been doing this for a lot of years, many years. So sometimes I start doing this before I clone my background layer. That's not the best practice. You should definitely Command J before you start removing pixels, so that way if you totally mess it up, you just get rid of that layer and you still have your main image as a starting point. I guess if I totally messed it up, I could just close this without saving and go back to that JPEG, or just export another copy out of Lightroom. So it's not really that much playing with fire, just depends on your preference. But if you're going to start using that clone stamp, you are definitely going to want to Command J so you have a new layer. And I will show you why here in just a second. So we have our clone stamp right here, S for clone stamp, and we are going to, you have to hit Option on a Mac, Alt, I think, on a PC. I could be wrong. I don't know why you're using a PC. Just kidding. All right. I know there's those of you out there that love PCs. My brother's one of them. He's like, why do you pay more to work on a Mac? I don't know. I have a problem. Anyway, Command or Option, or Alt or Option to select where you want to pull the data from. So I'm going to click right here and say, I want to pull this data. And then we're just going to kind of paint it on and cover it up. But oh no, look what happens. There's like another dog showing up here. So we're going to Command Z to go back a step. We're going to hit our Option. We're going to cover that up there. We're going to go Option, and we're just going to like blend in that little straight line there, because there shouldn't be any straight lines in this background, because it's all soft and organic. Now, sometimes you have to get in really close to the dog here. And so like you're going to end up coming over the dog. And that doesn't look great, but we can go ahead and just mask it. Command I to invert that mask. And then we can grab B for our brush tool. We're going to go X so that it's white, since the mask is black, remember. White reveals, black conceals. And then we are just going to get a really small brush, and we can just kind of come in here and paint this little section out, and then make it a nice bigger, softer brush, and get rid of that line there and that little spot right there. So there we go. That's done. Wasn't planning on showing you that, but we needed it. So anyway, that works here. Now let's go to that polygonal selection. Is another way to help get rid of leashes. So like I said, we can use that lasso tool. Sometimes that is a pain. We can also go up here underneath the lasso tool. Just hold down on it. You can get the Polygonal Lasso tool right here, and then we can just go ahead and start selecting. So it moves in straight lines, and then you just kind of click down. I use a Wacom tablet, so each time I just set my Wacom pen on the tablet is when it leaves another little touch point. And then you can just go ahead and hit return and it closes it up. So you can see that's much closer. Works really well when there's a straight leash because it's just like you do a couple clicks and then the whole thing is selected, which is great. And then we can just go up here and again, content aware fillet, which usually does some of the best options. We'll hit OK, see what that looks like. And doesn't look too bad. Okay. Let's just go ahead and try one more time over here. So we have this one coming around the back, and this is just so much easier. So you can get really close. You still want to have a little bit around the edge. Like you want a little bit of space between the end of that leash and the background. Do you see what I'm saying here? You don't want it to be touching that leash or leaving these little lines that are there. And then we can just go ahead again, edit, content aware fill, and let's see what it does. Really not too bad, except for right here, we have kind of that little spot. So we'll just go back over to our patch tool, which is another great healing brush for getting rid of leashes, and just kind of slide that over. Now the one thing with the patch tool, so you can have a little bit right there on the left fur, we'll just move that down. That's just kind of big and annoying, so we'll just move that down. There we go, we'll leave that little piece there. We have this little section here. Well, this might be a bit challenging for the patch tool. So if I were to pull this down for the patch tool, there's not really another part of this fur that I could easily pull that down for, because you know, if I pull it down here, the fur just ends up being like not quite the right angles. Let's see if it figures it out though. Sometimes it does. Actually, it didn't too bad. It's a little bit bumpy, but it's really not too bad. So anyway, so these are just some of the different tools that you can use for leash removals, and that Polygonal Lasso tool right here is really, really helpful for being able to keep close selections, because often in Photoshop, if something is not working the way that you want it to work, it is often because we've made a poor selection. Either we haven't selected enough information, or we've selected too much information, or we have way too large margins, or there's not enough margins. So if it's not working, go ahead and try a different selection and test out that Polygonal Lasso tool, see how it works for you.